Perfect.
All right. We have Sera, released by La Vida Boheme in 2013. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on the times in Venezuela when this came out. Mid 2012, no, actually 2011 is when Hugo Chavez is diagnosed with cancer. He publicly announced that he was completely got rid of cancer. He's completely cured.
He cured his cancer.
I am so cured, you guys. Vote for me. Vote for me in the new election because I'm so cured. He gets reelected with kind of the last leg of clout that he still had. He dies in 2013. The person that was the vice president, which is now Nicolás Maduro, he was Chavez's bus driver.
That's where that's
what that came from.
Jesus Christ.
He is literally just a guy that was there. He got appointed in a rush because Chavez was dying of cancer as a successor.
Why him? Why not anybody else? Was he a really fucking good bus driver?
I think it's because he was just a guy and anybody else was too smart for that position.
So he's more like a figurehead?
Most definitely just a figurehead.
Okay.
I was gonna say I feel like, you know, especially like a socialist leader, like your official explanation would be he's one of the people.
Yeah.
He's not a rich dude. He's not a legacy dude. He's not a career politician. I love my people so much. I pick my bus driver. You know.
Yes.
People that know me well know that I am extremely opinionated on the situation in Venezuela, and I'm not going to get too deep into what I think happened or didn't happen. The fact of the matter is that a lot of the structure of the government was systematically changed over the course of Chavez's presidency. By the time that Chavez died, he was essentially unofficially just the supreme commander. The actual power of the democracy in Venezuela continued to lose power, or even if an election was lost, then, you know, the electoral college didn't really have the military. The government has the military. So what the fuck are you going to do about it? They held elections on 2013, shortly after the... when was it? Yes, on April of 2013. Shortly after Chavez's death in March. These are the first elections that are commonly agreed that were just faked. There are multiple reports of just the militant units forcing elderly citizens to vote a certain way. There's video of it. There's reports of just people that were paid just having like a stack of like 20 IDs and just voting 20 times. And it's just funny. Maduro won by a margin, if I recall correctly, of 50.6%. So it was close as fuck. People wanted him gone as fuck.
Who was the other candidate?
It was Henrique Capriles. He was the closest one that we got to. I'm not gonna say savior or anything like that, but
more legit.
More to let's get an actual politician in there. Are all politicians evil? Fuck yeah, but that's why you don't give him total power.
Yeah.
Of course.
So it was a politician that, of course, he has his ambitions. Who knows what the fuck he wanted to do, but he was on the sentiment of the opposition of let's bring the system back, and let's be a real economy. Anyways, The album dropped on May of the same year. This album was kind of an expression of all the hardships that the Venezuelan people had been experiencing for the past few years. That being said, it ended up being extremely prophetic because things got so much worse right after it got released. It ended up being dubbed as like the soundtrack of the apocalypse. In 2014, did you guys ever hear about the guarimbas in Venezuela?
No.
No.
Guarimba is another word for a safe space. What people did is that the protest and the riots got so bad, people were starting to die a lot in these riots. What people did is that they grabbed whatever debris they could, and they would close off their own streets and their neighborhoods. They would grab fences from other houses or from like the mall next door, or if they had access to it, they would build a cement wall and just close out their neighborhood. We're safe in here. We're not coming out. I remember I was 18, almost 19, and I was the only man in my household, so I would have to they gave me money and I would have to go get food. And the same streets that I would walk every day to go to school or whatever, they were completely empty. They were desolate, and you would see where every other neighborhood or street would go, it was all blocked with debris of like the fences. Oh yeah, that's the fence of the store that I'm going to. It's just fucking put vertical instead of on the actual door. And then you would see all these fence wire. What's the name of the fence wire that has the spikes?
Barbed
wire. It was all placed along the street of the main avenue. It was neck height if you were on a motorcycle. So that's because a bunch of militant collectives were going around on motorcycles and running havoc. So they would put that shit so that if somebody was running to do some shit, he would die.
Yeah.
And I would see my neighbors with their entire face covered, and they were checking on every single person walking, and raise the barbed wire so you could go across and go to the bakery and get your bread and go back home. So this is the kind of environment that the country was in for months when the album had dropped. The album is extremely political, and it is exploring the different facets of the different people in Venezuela, and it's essentially, it kind of tells the story of everything that's going on, and then the final song is the conclusion that gotta get out of here, and it is what it is. I will go more in depth, but I want to feel you out on what you got out of the album.
I got those themes for a lot of those songs, especially because Nick here doesn't understand the lyrics.
Nope. All I heard was a fucking dance album, bro, and like a punk album. It was like a kind of like a genre bender.
I do like that it's absolutely nonstop.
Mm-hmm. It is nonstop.
Yeah.
You tell me all this shit, I'm like, what? This thing is vibing, dog.
There is one that I'm not sure how deep into it I'm reading, but Helena is very much like a song of like, hey, if you leave, don't miss home, get the fuck out.
Yep.
All right. And it's very interesting because I tied that back to Helen from the Troy legend.
That is where
that's the allegory kind of.
Yeah, that's where the allegory comes from.
Yeah. And what'd you call it?
Isn't it actually just Helena of Troy?
Yeah. So in the original legend, Paris took Helen from the Spartan king Agamemnon, right?
Agamemnon.
Yeah.
I think.
And the thing is, Agamemnon then got all of the Greek city-states to invade Troy for his woman, and one of the many ironies of that tragedy, because Troy got destroyed, Helen got got kidnapped back, Helen never wanted to live in Sparta. Sparta sucks. All right, it was one of the poorest city-states. Like, we know this legend of like, oh, they're warrior class, right? But one of the things is that because they're a warrior class, none of the warriors except the elders could touch money. So they never, like, they were dirt poor. They were fed very little because they were made to be strong, right? But when you actually look at archaeological evidence, it's because they literally couldn't afford it. Even though 80% of their population was slaves from other places, right? So it's honestly an awful place to live in. And Helen took the first fucking chance she got. Like, Paris was mythically the most beautiful man on earth, but Helen honestly would have gone with anyone that told her, like, hey, I got this city that they'll never be able to invade. Yeah, even though it's the Spartans and they're the most, like, one of the most powerful military groups on the planet. And the fact that they got that irony down so well on the album, I loved it. That was for me one of the peaks.
I like that it comes after a very somber song.
Yeah,
and it is recalling the motive of one of the earlier songs.
Yeah,
it's kind of like getting
which song?
Hornos de Cal. He goes da 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 da. Hornos de Cal.
What is that referencing?
Well, Hornos de Cal, it is.
What does that mean?
An horno de cal, it is a lime kiln.
Wait, say it again.
Lime kiln. It is for manufacturing, and it is infamous for killing all their workers because they will breathe in the salt that it exceeds, and it will cause respiratory issues.
Jesus.
The singer's granddad worked in a kiln, and his lungs literally exploded. So that is what the literal thing is, and that song is very much of like, we're sacrificing ourselves to give our children a better life. Yeah. So then it gets kind of brought back into, yes, we're fighting this fight so that our children don't have to do the things that we're doing. So Elena is that's like just kind of the conclusion of the song right before it.
Oh, can I mention one more thing about Helen?
Yeah,
this isn't in. This is only from a lost legend that we have, but the conclusion to her story is that Troy got destroyed. The most beautiful city on the planet got destroyed for her. She did not want to go back. She went back. The very first thing she did is like, oh, Agamemnon has a kid that doesn't, that doesn't like him and wants to get power. So she conspires with that kid and kills Agamemnon. And then she gets killed for it, and she doesn't care. And I've with the themes of that album, I'm like, that's such a fucking perfect allegory. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really like the compact feeling of it, because what you were saying about it being nonstop, it gives it a very specific pace. And what I like is I really like albums that are, just they feel like a story within and of itself. But not only does this feel like a story, it feels like more than anything like a chapter of the story.
Right.
And nothing more, especially with how abrupt it ends. Instrumentally, it just stops. Yeah. And with how you have multiple songs leading into each other, very concept album style, and then all of a sudden you just have that ending. It almost feels like a to be continued, like a this is one chapter of Venezuela's story, and the ending being like, we gotta get out of Venezuela. It feels like it's sort of like telling the audience, like, this isn't the end of the country's story, but I'm not going to be around to witness the rest of it.
Right.
It's kind of,
can't be,
It's both. It's kind of hopeful in a weird way.
It is.
Because, like you said, this is like the Apocalypse album, right? You would think the ending would be the ending.
Yeah.
But the fact that it kind of leaves like this idea that there's still more to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because Sera is the middle chapter of a trilogy of albums.
There you go.
The first 3 albums that La Vida Boheme did was, the first one was called Nuestra, the second one Sera, and the third one was La Lucha. It's Nuestra, Sera, La Lucha.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't realize that. I knew the 3 albums, but damn.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So all of these have like shared themes?
Yes. So the first one came out in 2009, and there was a lot of political unrest. So it is very much just some of it is the expression of the youth, is a call to action to go out and protest and just be vocal about what you believe in. It just so happened that the belief that the band had were against the government. And then a lot of it was also bringing into attention the other catastrophes that had happened around South America in earlier years that were sounding very similar to what was happening in Venezuela at the time. Sera is essentially when shit hits the fan. La Lucha, this is after the band had to leave the country because they actually left the year after that.
They followed their advice.
They followed their own advice.
Thank God.
Their record label shut down.
Wow.
And it just became impossible for them to remain in the band economically. So they went to Mexico and they recorded La Lucha there. And La Lucha is basically how to deal with all the news from home when you're outside. And it's kind of getting all the calls from your family members and all the news and just living your life through a screen because you're just watching what's happening where you grew up, and either learning how to deal with it or becoming numb to it. Right. So that Sera and La Lucha, dude, real talk, is the 2 albums that I can listen to it and at some point I'm gonna break down and cry. Like I know it's hard to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I that actually makes a lot of sense that it's part of a trilogy because the beginning of Sera, or just the whole thing, that very much feels like you're just being dropped right into the middle of the action. It's like watching Empire Strikes Back on its own. You know, it's like you started off and it's immediate chaos. Like the heroes are already running from the villains, and it doesn't stop. It's the same, just like running and running and running for the entire fucking film until you get to the end where there's this moment of like, maybe there is a way we can move forward.
Right.
And that's sort of how it felt here, where the entire time it's this urgency of things need to get better, things need to change somehow, and at the end there's that realization of, well, they're not going to get any better anytime soon, so even though I do hope for that to happen, I have to move on to a new chapter of life. It does. It feels very contained, you know, and it's and I like that a lot because with a lot of concept albums that I tend to listen to are so grandiose and are so like, it feels like you just went through a journey, you know, from beginning to end. But this feels like you just got put in a roller coaster and you're riding the whole way through, and then you finally reach the end and you're like, whoa. Yep. I got to take in everything that's just happened right now. I think it's 48 minutes. It does not feel like it.
It doesn't. I was surprised really on how long it was. I think that La Vida Boheme is on a very particular spot in terms of the music that they're doing and their audience, because you guys had been mentioning before on how much of yourself you put into an album and how that can be a little too much for you to bear.
Are you talking about from when we were talking about Ants From Up There?
Huh?
Are you talking about when we were talking about Ants From Up There?
Ants From Up There. There's Instrumentality is another one.
Yeah, for the people who haven't seen, it's basically like writing personal stuff in your music. The fact that you're putting it out there and how it affects you is what we're referring to.
Yeah. So the thing with Sera is that there is a ton of personal stuff in there, but well, that is a personal experience from the people that are writing this album. It ends up being a universal message for the entire nation that's going through it.
The personal stuff that they're talking about is stuff that everybody is dealing with.
Exactly.
It's just their POV, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, you know, it kind of resonates with people more because they've gone through that nationwide trauma. That's why you see so many fucking COVID concept albums that I'll never listen to. But in any case,
I mean, with the COVID thing, it's like, yeah, everyone went through the pandemic. It's not it doesn't give you a characterization,
right?
But the Venezuela thing is very much like you either were there or you weren't. You know?
Yeah, that's why Rawayana as well. Even though they're way more into we're just vibing and that's it. Especially their latest album is a better fucking album. They go deep into, yo, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And then you have some fucking rapper going, oh yeah, this is fucked up. But it's hard though.
I mean, the fucked up part would be to continue to be an artist and be honest with yourself and pretend like that didn't just fucking happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is what the bigger indie bands from Venezuela do.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm so sad my girlfriend broke up with me.
President Christ, your country is going through it right now.
Which, there's an argument to be said that maybe you don't want to fucking...
You want to, like, distract yourself?
Yeah.
Whenever there's like difficult times anywhere, whether it's around the world or in a specific nation, there's always two kinds of art. There's the art that reflects it and that gives you a sort of emotional catharsis on that experience that you've had, and the art that just makes you completely forget about it and just go on to something new. And I think both are completely valid.
Yeah.
If I may, I think that the one for the United States is soul music from the 70s.
That's what I was about to say. Is this like the what's going on in Venezuela?
A little bit.
It's got that feeling to it.
Yeah. Because you do be going like, what's going on though?
Because you could go that route, or you can go the Otis Reading route of like, don't worry about.
Yeah, like the Stevie route where like you're super positive.
Don't worry about war and shit, dude. We're just vibing. God still loves you.
God loves you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do some rapid fire along the tracks that we have.
I mean, you can take your time. We got time.
All right, bet. We have the first pair of tracks because there's 3 instances in which there's 2 songs that there should only be 1 song. We have Cementerio del Este and Cementerio del Sur. That is Cemetery of the East and of the South.
What is that referring to?
It is referring to the rich and poor areas, respectively, of Caracas. At the end of the day, when shit gets real fucked, it don't matter. You still kill. You can still kill people from either side. And
that's why there's cemeteries.
And the cemeteries. Yeah. And Cementerio del Este is from the Sur, sorry. It's literally like 30 seconds, the second song. And is saying, yo, this cemetery is going to be so useful when it becomes infinite. Let's join them all together. Which is...
it's basically like saying south or east, you're all dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all equal. We're all equally fucked.
Yeah.
The bodies will collect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is hard as fuck.
Yeah.
What a way to open an album, bro.
Yes.
Holy shit. Jesus fuck.
One thing musically about this album is I catch like 3 types of sounds. You got like punk songs.
Yes.
You have kind of like ballad songs. And then you have like indie dance songs.
Yes.
And I don't really know the meaning, right? Because I can't. Is it like?
Is there a thematic difference?
Is
this song an indie dance song because it makes sense? Is it a punk song because it makes sense?
Well,
you know what I'm talking about?
I think to an extent. I think there's 2 elements of this. One of them is if they were all new wave grooves, they get bored as fuck.
Yeah.
But also you start with Cementerio, and it's this like new wave death march, you know. It feels like the meme of the people dancing with the fucking coffin.
The African guys.
Yeah, the African guys. And it kind of tells you that this beat is kind of fast because people are getting killed fucking fast. But
life is moving fast.
Life is moving fast. So I would say that it is definitely appropriate for each song, and it also so happens that it allows them to have variety on an album that otherwise would be too samey.
Oh yeah, that is definitely something that like hits very hard. Of just like and I mean, I feel like you can speak to this experience very well, but it feels like what they were trying to convey with it is just like so much of this shit was happening so fast that we didn't even fully comprehend some of it as it was happening.
There's definitely some of it on it,
and you know, by the end, it's like usually it's like when you're like, oh well, like a reflection of this is all the shit that's happened now.
In terms of the grooves, I would say that La Lucha, which is the third one, is definitely like the happiest sounding one. It doesn't have as much of like the dread feeling that Sera has, and some of it is because they were already out, and there is a element of people that are inside and outside of Venezuela. That when you're inside, you're just living there, and you don't really, you kind of take your culture for granted. Then you leave, and then you notice that it's nowhere to be found unless you express it yourself.
Right.
So, and I've definitely been guilty of this myself, of over-expressing, yo, this is Venezuelan, and this other thing is really cool because it's Venezuelan and whatever, and it is just kind of trying to compensate for what you lose.
You feel like you kind of have like a mission in a way to carry the Venezuelan culture somewhere else.
Yes. Definitely not to the same extent, but think of, you know, Native American tribes. They're like, yo, almost all the shit is dead.
I feel like Cubans can be very similar too.
Yes.
Because they're in a similar situation.
So you have that element, and as a result, the La Lucha is very much more like a celebration of what was, right? So it's just very upbeat. The vibes are just way happier, and the lyrics are the most doomer shit you ever hear in your life.
Gotta love that fucking contrast.
Yeah. Then you move on to Hornos de Cal. I already told you the backstory on that.
What does that mean?
It was
the lime kiln.
Yeah, the lime kiln. You know, so it's kind of in a way saying that this thing of the generational sacrifice and the loss of life, the life being cheap and fast, is truly nothing new, really.
Is this just like a Venezuelan thing they're talking about?
What do you mean? Like
the specific theme of this specific song? Like the idea of like sacrificing for the next generation and shit like that? No,
not necessarily. It's just kind of telling you that this feeling that you have to get the fuck out. This feeling that you have to sacrifice yourself. It's something that your grandparents probably did for you.
Yeah.
When the country was not in a crisis, but they still did it anyways. So it's kind of, it gives you a feeling of passing of the torch.
Okay.
It is kind of the one of the most happy-ish sounding melancholy songs in the album. Then you go to La Bestia. That one, I don't know if you caught it from the lyrics, but the lyrics very much convey that there's like this beast, and it's like describing how you're feeling trapped in there, but it leaves the door open and you do nothing about it, and then the beast comes back and it fucking grabs you, ties your neck, it leaves you to the sun for an entire day, and then you're like, this is fine.
What is the beast? What is he referring to?
Venezuela is the beast.
Just like in general, the whole country?
And it's kind of like illustrating how you want to get out of there, you fucking hate it in there, but it's your home country, and you have this guilt of leaving. So you can have the door wide open, you're not going to get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you go to La Sangre y el Eco.
What does that mean?
Okay,
the blood and the echo.
The blood and the echo?
Yes. Okay. This is the punk one.
Yeah.
The video for it was footage of El Caracazo, which is an incident that happened on the late 80s in Caracas, nearby Caracas. This was instigated by a militant unit called the MBR, which is the focus is Movimiento Bolivariano Revolucionario. One of the figureheads of that movement was Hugo Chavez. It was not an attempted coup per se, but it was definitely something that generated unrest. This is right after the oil prices started to drop in the 80s, and it caused a lot of instability in Venezuela because they never really expanded outside of the oil industry. Is kind of reminding you that, again, incidents in which a lot of unrest happens and thousands of people die is actually nothing new in Venezuela. And it's kind of reminding you, this guy that died that was so great, he wasn't so great. Because he was behind this shit.
This is dark.
It do be dark.
Did you see any with that in mind, were there any people that, like, while this was happening, it's like, it's gonna blow over like the last time? Or was it like it very obvious to pretty much everyone involved that this was serious?
You talking about the Caracazo? Or you're talking
I'm
about...
talking about 2013 when it first started.
There were people that were like, I can't wait until the army takes over and cleans the shit up so I can go to school again.
Reasonable reaction.
And which is exactly what happened, and it was crazy. It was overnight. Overnight, all the barricades that I talked about were gone. In one single night, the shit got cleaned up.
By the army?
Yep. I can only fucking assume so.
Goddamn.
Jesus.
I remember because I was like, yo, I'm paying for a semester in college. And I can't go.
Jesus fuck.
And yeah, it was a time. But I think there was, because here's the thing. On the latter years of when I lived in Venezuela, it started to happen more and more frequently that there would be a peaceful protest, and then a student would get killed, one or two, and then that caused a riot.
Yeah.
And then the riot would take over the city, and then the actual military would have to step in, kill a few more people, and then people would back down, rinse and repeat. And it happened faster and faster. And then it happened to the point that shit just went over the line, and that's when all the barricades happened.
Yeah, I think things fall apart.
Things fell apart. There was definitely a feeling of this has never happened before. What the fuck is going on?
Okay.
But it kind of went back to quote unquote normal. Eventually, as all things do. You have Viernes Negro, followed up by Elena. Viernes Negro is Black Friday. It refers to February the 18th of 1983. That is when the economy kind of abruptly went down, which caused the unrest, which caused the Caracazo.
So that was like the oil prices falling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In the lyrics, you can kind of see how there's this father, like a church father figurehead, and it's like, yo, father, we have this well in here, we can just get water out of it. Why should we plant trees or nothing? We just got the well, we can live off the well, we can control everything with the well. And then the lyrics start to build more resentment, and then to the point of like, yo, we're just fucking hungry, why don't we grab the father and we drown him in the well. This was most likely written because keep in mind that the album released 2 months before the president died, so this was most likely written before he died.
Yeah.
It's assumed that this is kind of the POV of the circle around Chavez, or the circle of power, that we're just kind of like, yeah, we partied all the fucking money, and now what? Now we're stuck in Venezuela and we can't leave.
Yeah.
It's also kind of highlighting like corruption.
Yep. We have Piel del Mal, which is the grooviest fucking track in the album. And it is...
Oh, what Piel del Mal means?
The Skin of Evil.
Yeah, the Skin of Evil. Yeah.
It means a few things. It means it's kind of a perpetuating cycle. The Skin of Evil is what you have to crawl yourself into and become the evil.
To survive.
To survive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of describing how the people are living this constant reality every day. It's telling you, yo, today, God helped me through today, through the day. And
day by day.
Day by day. And I have to do tomorrow. And I'm just in denial of everything that's going on. And then then you have the fucking hardest breakdown. You fucking dance around, and then you go back and you say, okay, now I'm gonna do back to them so that I can get some of that shit because I want to eat too. And it ends on saying Piel del Mal X50 and repeating that shit over and over. And that happens a lot in the album, and a lot of La Vida Boheme's writing in general. They do a lot of just repeating the same shit over and over, and it feels kind of like a fucking religious chant.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking ritual around a campfire.
It's something that, like, during the shows, you know, people can gather around and sing, and they don't have to memorize. It's super complicated.
In a way, it's a way to lift spirits in a way too.
Yeah,
or like.
It's like
get people riled
up. Repeat stuff.
Yeah, or get people riled up.
To me, the way it felt in the sort of concept of the album was this is something that weighs on my mind a lot, which is why I'm repeating it. And I'm trying to find different ways of saying it, but I just can't because everything is just happening at such a quick pace that, like, this is the only thing I can think of. And this is the only way that I can express it. And I have to express it as quickly as possible.
Yeah. That's definitely... something that I do like a lot of their songwriting, because if you're looking at the Junior's lyrics and then there's like two verses and then the same word 40 times, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna groove for a minute, and they you fucking repeat that shit over and over. We have Angelitos Negros. It is the title is a reference to a poem. It means black angels.
Okay.
I haven't read
Angelitos is like little angels.
It's like baby
it's like
angels.
little black angels.
Like, it's like, I don't know, picture the fucking cathedral angels, tiny angels.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It feels to me like survivor's guilt, because there's people that got it really fucking hard, and I keep remembering there's one incident in which one 16-year-old went out to protest, and then he got a Molotov to the face and became blind. And he didn't get maimed, he didn't lose an arm or nothing, but he was blind. 16 years old. Yeah,
you said the title of the song. I'm like, please don't let this be what I think it's about.
Nah. What do you think it's about?
Like kids dying.
Maybe.
Fuck.
Yeah, dude.
You never know.
This shit is dark.
And the lyrics kind of go into you talking about what you're going through, and then you see how everybody else is getting maimed around you, and then you're like, yo, I haven't gotten hit. I haven't gone through what these people are doing. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to call myself Venezuelan if I'm not suffering the same as everybody else.
I'm really glad we left this out for the very end, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna do this shit. And then, anyways, Radiohead. No.
Anyway, let's talk about how Josh got kicked out.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Shabalama Ding Dong.
Jesus fuck.
We go on to Antes Era Mejor.
Which means before it was better.
Before it was better, and that one to me is really the one that I don't really like. It's one of the songs that I at least go back to and dissect more meaning out of. It really just feels like accepting defeat. That shit was better before, and now you're here, and this is what it is.
It seems like a hard song to revisit.
Yeah. Then you have Aún, which is the only one that kind of brings the energy way down, and it has no drums or no nothing. Is the one that almost sounds like a lullaby.
Yeah.
the way that the lyrics go, it sounds like there's this person that is marching, and it's been marching for so long that he cannot feel his legs anymore, but he gotta keep going because he has to do something about what's going on. There's this one line in particular. It says, ya cansadas mis piernas, pero no puedo parar. Quiero que mis hijos tengan lo que a mí me quisieron quitar. Which means, my legs are tired. I can't stop. I want my kids to have what they try to take away from me. There's another one that is a very similar line, and it says, my legs are tired. I can't walk. I want my kids to have a last name that they are proud to have. And
how would you translate aún?
Still.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's just like a still we march on.
Yeah.
My legs are like completely fucked up, but still I must march on for my children's sake.
This one goes twofold on people that are still going out and protesting and still having their voice be heard despite of the risks. And then there's people that are leaving their comfort zone and getting out of the country and starting from zero just for the sake of their kids. I think of my dad. He left the country. He was in his early 50s and he was a business owner. And he had house paid for. He was doing all right, but he could fucking see the horizon what was going to happen. Had to go. And for years, he was just working like 3 jobs, fucking washing bathrooms. He was an engineer. Washing bathrooms, going, working at a Marriott and doing laundry, just shit like that. And he would tell me that he would go back home and on a bike because we had no car. He was just completely beat, but he wasn't, and he also had to work for him, for my stepmom, and for my brother, who had no work permit yet. So he had to do it, because what the fuck else are you gonna do? So, yeah, you get out of the country and you can go to the grocery store and there's food there, but there's more to it than that. Then you have the funniest one. It is El Futuro Funciona. That shit sounds like a Chuck E. Cheese fucking band that broke. It has like all these instruments out of tune on purpose, and I don't know. It sounds like a factory that's breaking down.
Yeah, it's like the angriest one.
Yes.
It means the future works, as in like saying like.
It's like ironic.
It is very ironic.
Yeah, it's like the future's gonna work. Like it's still possible. It's still possible, you know.
This one, at least I interpret it as the actual government, because at this point, this is right by the time that they took control. They shut down the rest of the independent media, and everything was national. And they would fucking beat you over the head with propaganda all the fucking time.
I mean, that also, one thing that adds to that is the fact that the vocals have this filter that sounds like a loudspeaker.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really clever.
Yeah. And I've seen the future. This is the way. Shut up. It works. I've seen the future. It works.
They're basically satiring the propaganda.
Yes. This is how the album got made.
Yeah, a little bit. Mito del Progreso is just 30 seconds of the guy doing a drum solo, but all the little snippets that you hear are clips from television, from all different eras. So you have from like old shows, like old talk shows that had this huge bands, and you hear like the fucking strings, a little second. Then you have like all the shit. You have like a fucking toilet cleaner commercial that became super fucking famous in Venezuela in the 90s. Little bit of everything, and it ends with something that says "Esto es una transmisión," which it begins at the part of what they would do in national television to cut in the middle of a transmission at any point if the president was going to talk. So there's something called cadena, a chain, which could happen at any fucking point. If the president wanted to say some shit, he would say, I'm going to go on cadena. You could be watching La Novela or whatever.
Just chilling.
Yeah, chilling. And then trying to skip the reality of daily life. And then you get cadena and you have the fucking flag waving and the fucking horse running. This is a transmission from the Bolivarian Republic of whatever, the transmission, something. And then the president will sit and talk for 2 hours. Minimum.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
How often would that happen?
Once a week.
Wow.
Wait, how? 2 hours of
him talking,
like
saying
speech.
that America is evil, or saying how
wow.
you know some bullshit.
A bunch of bullshit.
Is this the one where they went on for too long and he's like, let's eat?
Nah, that's way later.
Oh, okay.
That's way later.
God damn.
The name of it, El Mito del Progreso, also means the myth of progress.
Oh, okay.
So if you have all these like clips of like old timey going into the future, it's like, I thought it was a very clever picture.
Because it seems like they're reverting.
Yeah, no,
right, with the end.
or not necessarily reverting, but just the point is like, shit isn't this shit, or what Javi was saying before. This shit has happened before, you know. They're telling us that we're progressing, but that's just the myth. It's the myth of progress. We're staying in one place, you know.
Yeah.
Also, the thing I was mentioning that Javi knows about is that there was one point on television where the president was talking, and he was like, you know, these times are hard. Now a lot of people are seeing food, but we're gonna move on as a country. And then he thinks that the transmission stops. He's like, all right, we're good. All right, let's eat. And then he just immediately grabs food.
Grab an empanada. And this is when like food was real hard to come by.
Yeah. No,
Holy
it's the type of shit you can't write.
Were you there for that when that happened?
I didn't see it live, but the videos were getting passed around like crazy. It was
Were
just
you
like,
in Venezuela when that
I
happened?
believe I was, yeah. If I recall right, 'cause that was yeah.
That must have fucking sucked.
That was they called it the ninja empanada because he was trying to sneak by and fucking the motherfucker couldn't wait 10 minutes to like walk away and eat his shit. He had to
eat it on the spot.
Yeah, he had to eat it on the spot.
He was hungry.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Fat motherfucker. Anyways.
Wow.
Then you have La Vida Mejor, which means the better life. And then right at the end, La Vida Mejor, you just hear this fucking banging merengue rhythm with all the horns, and then it starts fading out. And right when the beat would have ended, you get Adriana, which is like the epilogue of the whole thing. La Vida Mejor is kind of, it sounds like a conversation of your family and your friends that's kind of like telling you not to leave. It says, ¿Cómo va a ser la vida mejor? Yo pregunté, nadie respondió. It says, how is the life going to be any better? I've asked and nobody has responded to me. It's kind of like you're trying to get out of Venezuela and they're like, no, don't go. Come on, it's not that good outside.
It's not going to be any better.
It's not going to be any better. Come on, stay. Look at this party. Come on, don't leave. And then eventually it fades and... the lyrics just turn into, yo, how are you gonna leave? This is so good in here. How are you gonna leave? I'm gonna miss you so much. How are you gonna leave? I'm gonna fucking cry every day. And then the music fades and it comes back with just the guitar and the voice is like, I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna stay right here. I'm not leaving. You can bury me in this spot because I'm not moving, waiting for you. So whenever you come back, I'll be right here, even if I have completely white hair when you're back. And then the album ends.
The white hair being also a reference in Helena, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Cuifcana, right? And, actually, hold up. Let me see if this is like side A, side B.
What do you mean?
Like if you got the vinyl, right? Would it end side A Helena
would end.
and side B Adriana?
I've never looked it up. I don't know if I'm assuming so. Probably.
That makes sense. They're all female names, right?
Yeah.
Well, I also wondering who Adriana refers to.
Just a name, bro.
God damn.
It's not from The Sopranos.
Fuck. Hold up. Let me see this. Yep. Yep. No, dude. It's literally right in the middle.
Yeah.
Helena 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fuck. The album's so good.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah. And now, thinking about all that, I can't re-listen to it. That's heavy, dude.
That is really fucking heavy.
Oh my gosh. But now I get the entire trilogy that I can listen to and feel heavy about.
Feel heavy about it.
And what do you call it? I don't know. Do you guys have any comments?
I would
any
say
questions?
thank you, Javi, for sharing your personal experiences.
No, for
too.
real.
Like,
I appreciate you listening.
yeah, I didn't expect you to do that, and you didn't have to, but thank you.
Appreciate it. I will say that you've gone through phases in which you're like, oh my god, I've gone through so much. When, come on, any Venezuelan's going through shit. You're not special, right?
Yeah.
And so I try to not make it my identity that I'm a Venezuelan. There was a crisis. Haha. Feel pity. No, fuck that. But there's communists out there still. Nah, just kidding.
They need to listen to this.
Oh,
He thought about that one. There's communists.
I actually wanted to ask, what's the relationship between this album and the song Sera that you wrote?
I almost forgot to mention the song Sera is a tribute to the album.
All right. Would you care to elaborate?
Okay.
just a little bit.
Refuses to
Some
elaborate.
backstory. This is a song for Corazon Rabioso, the band they're both in, called Sera.
Off
Yeah.
of Space Coast.
Yeah.
Volume 2.
On
It
Spotify
is.
right now.
Okay. I wanted to make my version of a Venezuela nostalgia song.
Okay.
The rhythm is the same joropo rhythm, which is what you hear on most of the butte from Crema Paraíso. Is it but very slow. It has the elements from like a La Vida Boheme song, which is you have your verse and then you have your chant, your thing that you're repeating over and over, and then you have your middle section that is just instrumental. It's not a solo, it's not a verse, it's just you have a motive that is just instrumental. The lyrics, I will admit on this podcast here that it is one of the few lyrics that don't have a lick of nonsense in them. Because
you heard it here, folks.
Not even a lick.
not even a lick.
Not a single word out of place.
Well, I am guilty of filling in a line because it sounds spooky, and what could it mean? But it just rhymed. This one is one that as short as the lyrics are, they were very purposeful. And it begins with the character in the song saying how they are so sick of this, they want out, they want to go what's over the bridge. And then it kind of describes how they thought that the city was quiet, but they can still hear the screaming. And then you have a banging middle section.
It's like characteristic.
In true Vida Boheme fashion. The darkest shit you ever heard, followed by
Then it cuts back in, and it says, I want to go back. I can only count on myself here. I I can fly now, but I cannot find a nest. And then it goes back to thinking about the people that you left behind. And it's saying, are they happy with their lives? Are they crying out of happiness? And Sera repeated it means, well, in the middle of a sentence, like nuestra será la lucha is that something will be. Será on its own means which one is it?
Yeah.
And it's because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel it's a fantastic song and a fantastic tribute.
Thank you
to that idea. And once again, I want to thank you so much for coming out here and sharing your story. This is definitely the most important message our podcast has had ever, and it's going to be very hard to top.